all three of the stories that we read this week for the second discussion board, all three, I think, shared the same overall theme and ideas about how women were treated and portrayed to the rest of the world as being a lot less educated and more simple minded than the men were. In the first story by Nikki Giovanni called Legacies, it tells the dialogue between a girl and her grandmother trying to get her to learn how to make the rolls for the family. I'm assuming when she gets older to have that role. I think that's something that women almost took pride in because it was something that the men couldn't do. The one thing that the women actually had a higher privilege over. The second thing about this story was Giovanni wrote the dialogue between the two with extremely poor grammar, which I think shows the really uneducated part in that story. Moving on to the second story we read called Trifles by Susan Glaspell. The men really talked down onto the women in this story. They were always second guessing them and their thoughts because I think they thought they were a lot less educated than them. And at one point, they ridiculed the women for being loyal to their gender when they tried to stand up for the woman that they were investigating. The last story that we read, called The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, the women were so looked down upon in this story that they weren't even given the simple privilege to choose their own lottery slip. They had to have their husband, or if their husband was not available, someone else in the family, another man that was of age, to choose the lottery slip for them. These two stories show the really unfair and extremely sexist, yet universal problems that women faced back in the day, both inside and outside of the home, as you could tell in Trifles when the husband was looking down upon his own wife. The second question for the discussion board was how and if things have changed since then to now, and I think they have tremendously. I think that men and women share all of the same privileges now, from education to jobs to really anything, from just in the household. You would never really see a man doing cooking or any of taking care of the children on his own, and now you see it everywhere. It's a very popular kind of family life now as well. I would say that there are some physical restrictions when it comes to jobs. Like, men are naturally built more than most women. Not that women can't get to that stage themselves, but just the way that men are born, I think that there are some physical restrictions when it comes to like construction or just physical work. Men kind of have that upper hand over us still, but women can still do it. I think I just believe that men are just kind of assumed to have that position. There's still a lot of controversy over the pay rates, I believe. I think that men and women both working the same job, some men will still get paid more than the women, but even counting that out, I would say that it's a very, very equal ground that we're all on now. I think that nursing has also, just for example, you would never see a male nurse back in the day, but now, even though there are still a lot more women nurses, you are seeing more and more males go into that field, and I think that it's just a really great way that we're all heading with this kind of gender equality.